How's it going, everybody? My name is John, and let me just say, being an independent is truly exhausting because it seems like you never have anything to look forward to. Because even when one of the sides does something that's supposed to be good, like Trump brokering a peace deal between Israel and Hamas, there's always caveats in it. There's always something to complain about because Trump has somehow took what was supposed to be a political victory and a victory worldwide as the horrendous loss of life that is happening in Gaza is finally going to stop. Even if it's only temporary, it's still something worth commending and celebrating. All of the good PR that came from Trump brokering the ceasefire, I feel was immediately counteracted with MAGA's ridiculous claims that Trump should have won the Nobel Peace Prize. The actual winner of the Nobel Peace Prize in 2025 was a woman from Venezuela named Maria Corina Machado. And she won the prize for fighting the dictatorship that they have going on in Venezuela. She literally lived like an underground life in order to keep fighting for Venezuelan freedom. MAGA's reasoning for why Trump should have won over Maria Machado is because Trump allegedly solved not 7, that was the old talking point. Now with the Israel-Hamas deal, 8 wars. Trump has allegedly solved 8 wars single-handedly. If you break down the alleged 8 wars that Trump has supposedly solved, you will quickly realize that that is simply just a talking point. It's not based in any sort of reality. The only one out of the 8 that we can say that Trump brokered a ceasefire peace deal between is this one with Israel and Hamas. And who knows, maybe it will fall apart in a week. And that's why the other 7 cannot be taken seriously. They were either conflicts that were going to be solved without Trump getting involved. They were ceasefires that were temporary and have since been undone, aka the conflicts are still going. Or worst of all, in the case of some of these conflicts, Trump literally had nothing to do with it. They were just conflicts that happened to be solved while he was president and the administration just took credit for. That's the main talking point that MAGA has for why Trump should have won the Nobel Prize, and it's false. The next reason that I don't think that Trump should have won the Nobel Prize, or really should have even been in consideration for it, is because of his support for Israel during the Israel-Gaza conflict and the fact that he ran on ending the Russia-Ukraine war on day 1, and now it's day 200 something, maybe 300, and it is still ongoing right now. I pulled this bit of information from an article by Reuters that states that over 8,500 Palestinians have lost their life in the Israel-Hamas conflict since March. March being when Trump tried to broker a peace deal between Israel and Iran, but it ultimately fell apart. And if you guys remember, the reason that ceasefire fell apart was because, and this is in Trump's words, Israel had dropped more bombs than we've ever seen.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen.
And then he said, we don't know what the F they're doing.
Basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Trump ran on being able to solve that conflict. And his unconditional support of Israel since the beginning of his presidency, even pulling open a chair for Netanyahu, like Netanyahu's some sort of date for him, in my opinion, makes Trump responsible for those 8,500 Palestinians that have lost their life since March, and probably even more since Trump took office in January. As if Trump pulling open the chair for international war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu wasn't enough, he also rolled out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin, which back when it happened, I was a little bit mixed on it. I wasn't sure if we should be treating a Russian leader like this, but at the end of the day, if it gets him to come to the table, if it gets him to negotiate, if it gets a peace settlement done, if it stops the loss of life in Russia-Ukraine, it's worth it. But now, Trump rolled out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin just for the war to keep going. What was the actual purpose of it if it wasn't going to stop the war? it just makes you look stupid. It makes you look like an idiot. And it makes you look like you're complacent with dictators. Like I said, when you're pulling open the chair for international war criminal Netanyahu, and then you're rolling out the red carpet for another war criminal in Vladimir Putin. As if that weren't reason enough that Trump should miss the Nobel Prize, you then have MAGA commentators, most notably Benny Johnson, posting a clip of Vladimir Putin saying that the Nobel should have picked Trump and that them not picking Trump delegitimizes them. They're using that as a flex. They're trying to brag that war criminal, war starter, the guy who imprisons and takes out his political opponents, Vladimir Putin, MAGA is idiotic enough to use that as a flex and as a brag as to why Trump should have won the Nobel Prize. Vladimir Putin saying that Trump should have won the Nobel Prize and saying that Nobel as an organization loses legitimacy for not picking Trump means that they undoubtedly made the right decision in not picking Trump. And it actually bolsters their legitimacy based on going against Vladimir Putin, because Vladimir Putin is a dictator. Yes, Vladimir Putin has the label as president, but I have never heard of a president remaining in power for 26 years straight. I've never heard of a president rigging every single election since they've been in power. It's the same reason why I lambaster Netanyahu. Netanyahu hasn't directly been prime minister since 1996, but it has remained in a dominant position of power since 1996. When you have reigns that are going this long, it comes across like dictatorship, especially when your government is committing actions that are questionable at the very least. The International Criminal Court rules Netanyahu as a war criminal, rules Vladimir Putin as a war criminal. The UN has reprimanded and condemned both of those leaders multiple times on their actions. Trump pulls open the chair for one and rolls out the red carpet for another. And MAGA is saying that Trump should win the Nobel Peace Prize? Yeah, right. What a joke. There's all these rumors swirling in the US that Trump is allegedly going to run again in 2028, with even a photo on Trump's own Instagram showing a Trump 2028 hat. When Trump treats these war criminals and people that I see as dictators so well, and then you have those men making statements saying, yeah, Trump should have won the Nobel Peace Prize, or you have Netanyahu just thanking Trump for literally everything Israel does, it provides evidence to those rumors. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump does try to run in 2028, and that makes him an effective dictator. A genuine piece of advice for the Republicans is, if Trump genuinely does plan to run in 2028, I think you'll be facing a Biden situation, not only because I think that Trump will be in declining health at that point, as he'll be pushing 90 if he runs again in 2028, but like Biden running again when he obviously shouldn't have, Trump, I would argue, even more so obviously shouldn't run again. If he runs again, any Republican that supports him, any politician, influencer, regular person that supports Trump running in 2028 is effectively supporting dictatorship. It will ruin the Republican Party. It will take it down permanently. It will never be able to hold a position of power ever again. No sort of majority in the Senate, the House. Anyone who endorses Trump in a third presidential run, completely delegitimized and should be run out of politics. Circling back to what I said at the beginning, what's truly saddening as an independent is realizing that you're completely politically homeless. You make a blanket statement saying that, I don't think Bad Bunny should be the Super Bowl halftime artist. I think since a majority of the country speaks English, we should have an artist that would perform in English. Nothing against him being Latino, nothing personal. I enjoyed him in Happy Gilmore too, and I enjoyed his work in the WWE. As you can see, I'm a big WWE fan. But the left immediately brands me as a racist and that I'm so ignorant and uncultured and all of these comments simply just for me not wanting Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl. Then you have the Republicans on the other hand. If I don't think that Trump should win the Nobel Prize even though he's presided over the loss of life of about 10,000 Palestinians and also rolled out the red carpet for Putin in a conflict that is still ongoing, that makes me a leftist. That makes me a shill for the Democratic Party. Both political parties just try to blanket statement and pigeonhole you into these absolutes. In reality, it's always a gray area. And the gray area is that both of our political parties suck. And in this instance today, the Republicans highlight why they are not a healthy alternative to the Democrats. What further proves that is that the actual winner of the Nobel Prize, Maria Machado, she thanked President Trump and she thanked the United States for their help in actually fighting for the Venezuelan democratic cause. But despite that, MAGA won't take that as a political win. They could take that as a genuine political win and say, look, we're fighting for democracy. We're actually doing good internationally. But instead, they want to bolster the fact that Putin said that Trump should have won the Nobel Prize. That's just terrible optics. It's terrible political game by MAGA. And I forgot to mention one of the biggest reasons why Trump shouldn't have won the Nobel Prize. He bombed Iran. He ran on this whole premise of, I'm the peace president. I've never started a war. Nothing's ever happened under me. And then Israel asks him, hey, can you help us with Iran? And then Trump drops the bomb Iran button, possibly starting what could have turned into a global conflict. As Iran is part of the BRICS alliance, what if it turned into a full-blown economic war between Russia, China, India, Pakistan, Iran, every other country in the BRICS alliance, in NATO? That could have actually happened all because Trump decided to help Israel unconditionally and just drop bombs on Iran. All of that culminates in once again saying MAGA is absolutely ridiculous in saying that Trump should have won the Nobel Prize. There's absolutely no merit for it. There's no reasoning for it. Even the Republican talking point of the alleged 8 wars that Trump has solved is complete bullshit. That's a manipulation of narratives. The same way that they criticize the Democratic Party for doing that, Trump is doing the exact same thing. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you think of the video. Hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Let me know what you think of what is, in my opinion, MAGA's ridiculous claim as to why Trump should win the Nobel Peace Prize. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace out. Stay safe out there.